It's a dark and spooky Halloween night, and there are fireworks going off in the distance. Are they going off because it's October 31st, or because the Vancouver Canucks have just gotten themselves up to 6 wins on the 23-24 season? Vancouver plays off against Nashville for the second week in a row, and for the second game in a row, they stomp. Okay, maybe last week they didn't really stomp the Preds. They beat them, but they didn't necessarily totally dominate. In this one, you could say on the score sheet, that is what they did. 5-2, the final score here. Vancouver defeats Nashville in Rogers Arena. It's Halloween. People are dressed up. It's really cold outside. I'm not gonna lie. It is really cold outside. And maybe to y'all that are used to colder Canadian temperatures, I seem like a wuss when I say that it's getting really cold out. But yeah, I thought sweater weather was going to last a little bit longer here in Vancouver, but nah, we got to start wearing jackets now. How unfortunate. But either way, the Canucks have themselves a night where, after being projected as the top Stanley Cup favorite by MoneyPuck.com, they show on paper, they show on the score sheet why that is. 5-2 win over Nashville, and we have a few storylines that really did take charge in this one in particular. Firstly, let's talk about the comeback, because the Canucks had themselves the first goal of the game, a deflected shot by Sam Lafferty, assisted by Quinn Hughes and Anthony Beauvillier. Good on Beauvillier for actually getting more points up there. Good for Quinn Hughes for sending the shot towards the goal. The puck is initially stopped by Kevin Lankinen, not UC Soros, it's Lankinen in net. It goes off of Lafferty's helmet in front and then bounces in the back of the cage. 1-0 Vancouver in this Halloween showdown. But then the Nashville Predators strike twice back. It's Colton Sissons who, just a few minutes afterwards, is able to get a puck free right out in front. The Canucks are not able to clear it. They really succumb to the Nashville pressure, and the Preds are awarded pretty generously because of it. And then, 30 seconds after Colton Sissons made it 1-1, it's Dante Fabbro, who again takes advantage of the Canucks not being able to clear their own zone. The Canucks end up giving it up, the Preds keep it around, Forsberg goes over to Fabbro, who just takes a shot on goal. It goes by everybody. It looks kind of like Thatcher Demko moves out of the way of the puck here. But at the end of the first, it was a 2-1 Nashville Predators lead. And for me personally, I was kind of thinking, the team is down by 1. This is not the worst thing in the world. And admittedly, the Canucks haven't really been playing all too great. Sure, they scored the 1 goal, it's whatever, but you saw some of the fumbles, some of the passes. Pettersson had a really weird bobble of the puck that resulted in a 3-on-1 where Tyler Myers ends up hooking Liam Foudy. Foudy got a penalty shot because of that, but he wasn't able to score because he tripped on his own skates, pretty much. Yeah, he tripped in the penalty shot, kinda. I think that's a tribute to the Rogers Arena ice. I think a lot of people have been saying that it's been pretty bad over the years, so it helps the Canucks in this circumstance, so I'm totally okay with that. But the first period for Vancouver wasn't particularly great. A lot of mistakes, a lot of fumbles, a lot of chances in the offensive zone where the Canucks just don't really get things to go their way. They try passing and making a few nifty on-the-rush tic-tac-toe setups, but it just doesn't work, and they end up needing to backtrack super hard because of it. A lot of these plays just weren't really clicking, and after the first period, I was kind of like, okay, this is a little bit of adversity here. The Canucks have not been great. We need to see how they respond in the second period and evaluate further there. It's a 60-minute game for a reason, right? Within the span, there were a few penalties. You had Barry, who was hooking Pia Sutar. JT Miller got himself a double minor, actually a minor and then another minor on the same play. He was hooking, and then he was called for an unsportsmanlike. We'll get to JT Miller a little bit later, but in the second period, everything starts to go right for Vancouver. Because all it takes is 53 seconds for Elias Pettersson on the 4-on-4 play to snipe it right by Kevin Lankinen. It's Hughes over to Petey, who walks in, he takes the shot, it goes off of Lankinen's inner arm and then in. Pettersson taking advantage, full advantage of the Brock Besser screen that was in front. Immediate 2-2 game, 53 seconds into the second, you like to see it. And this is sort of where the Canucks became a little bit messy again. Ian Cole had some bad clearing attempts in the same shift, which allowed the Predators to have full pressure. JT Miller took a high sticking penalty with 6:47 left in the second, so add this on to the 4 minutes he had served in the first period, and Miller, he's got 6 minutes in the box, and the game is not even past the second period. The interesting thing about this, though, is that afterwards you saw JT actually get benched for the remainder of this second period. Now, 6 minutes isn't a long time, per se, but Miller was pretty much reduced to opening the door duty and wasn't out during the shifts for his line, so he wasn't playing with the Giuseppe and Besser. He wasn't given power play time in that second period afterwards. This is Rick Tocchet holding his players accountable and setting the standard, saying to the guys, hey, you can't be spending 6 minutes in the box. JT, you are a little bit undone over the past 40 minutes. We're going to hold you on the bench, keep you there, because we want to send the message that that type of behavior is not acceptable. And Miller was okay with that. The Canucks then had themselves another power play to end off this second period, and it's Elias Pettersson who ends up sniping it yet again. This time it was pretty clean. It's Kuzmenko over to Petey on the right flank. He walks in and snipes it far side, making it 3-2 Vancouver with a few minutes left in this second period. Just a beautiful goal from Petey. He's on hat-trick watch to end off this second period, and guess what? That hat-trick goes out there and redeems itself in full force in that third. You see, the third started out with actually JT Miller's line. He was back on the ice. All the commentators, the broadcasters on Sportsnet were talking about how Miller was benched and how it's a good thing that Rick Tocchet is making it so that players on the team understand the stakes, understand the rules, understand how these things will be dealt with. And after Niels Höglander takes a penalty, it's Miller who draws a penalty whilst shorthanded right away. Forsberg goes off for interference, so 4-on-4 is the game for now. And guess what? The Canucks scored earlier on 4-on-4, Pettersson getting it right through Lankinen. Miller then scores afterwards. It's Hughes over to Besser, the shot and the rebound is there in the crease for JT to bang it in. The goaltender actually helped in putting the puck into the back of the net. He accidentally tapped it in to go over the line, but JT Miller is the guy who comes back in the third period, draws a penalty, he scores a goal, 4-on-4, 4-2 game here with a considerable amount of time to go, but that considerable amount of time ends up becoming 4 minutes and 19 seconds because for so long, this game just kept on going back and forth with no whistles. Great chances for both teams, great desperate clearing attempts made by both teams, good rushes and good pace either way. For let's say the middle part of this third period, it was just a pure bliss-filled hockey game where both teams were going back and forth, trading chances, trading saves, no goals scored, but it was fun to watch anyway. And then of course, it's good for Vancouver to kill off the clock when they're up 4-2. But then Elias Pettersson, once the empty net comes, with 2:58 to go in the third period, ends up just sliding the puck in. He skates the puck in to give himself his second career NHL hat-trick and his first since January of 2019. Can you believe Elias Pettersson has not had another hat-trick since his rookie year? That's crazy. I thought in my mind's eye, I was like, okay, Pettersson probably has 3 or 4, right? We've covered the hat tricks when they happen on this channel. Connor Garland had one last season at the end of the year. Brock Besser has had his few over the span of the last few years. Kuzmenko I know he had at least 1, maybe 2. Actually, I think he had 2. Pettersson has to have had multiple, right? But then they said on the broadcast, nope, this is his first hat-trick since January of 2019. And I was like, what? Really? Petey has not had that many hat-tricks, eh? But either way, he gets himself his second here against the Nashville Predators in Rogers Arena on Halloween night to propel the Vancouver Canucks to a 6-2-1 record. Oh boy, they have not been this good in years. Not to say that the game was perfect by any metric, but just what we saw. Thatcher Demko made the saves he needed to make. The goals that he allowed were not really his fault. The defense was breaking it out to the best of their ability. There were some shaky moments in there. Mark Friedman, Ian Cole, I'm looking at you guys. Quinn Hughes also wasn't perfect in this one, admittedly, even though he had 3 points. And for Elias Pettersson, he honestly could have had a few better moments in this one because there were a few bobbles of the puck, especially early on, that didn't look all too great. But hey, the guy had a hat trick. so who cares? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Canucks beating Nashville 5-2 at home. Happy Halloween to all of y'all who are in this part of the Lower Mainland. Try not to freeze to death as we all celebrate our last of the Hallows Eve. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.